Hey, what's up? It's Rashad hanging with the Joneses. Man, momentous occasion today. We have Tony and Tony, both friends of the fam, OG friends of the fam, man. And we're gonna talk about what we talk about all the time anyway. That's Marvel, because they're killing it right now. So,
Right.
want to talk about MCU 2021. It's a year in review special, and we're gonna just go over the shows as well as the movies, may get a ranking or not. Either way, we definitely going to delve into Marvel for this year. So, bam. First question: what was your favorite Marvel property this year?
Ooh. Ooh. Um, it's a toss up for me right
Mm-hmm.
now.
Go ahead, and say it.
It's a toss up. My toss up is Loki and Spider-Man No Way Home.
Hmm.
That's my toss up. There's another one that's in there, but it almost got into the cusp of it. But Loki and for me, No Way Home were the ones that kind of for the most part gave me the most wow factor. If that makes sense. The most wow factor, the most like, oh, it's about to be real. Going into what's this phase? What's phase is five? Five? Four. Phase going into phase four. It's about to get real. So for me, it's Loki and Spider Man. Now I say that not to say that the other ones were bad or anything like that. For y'all that watch this, and of course Rashad know, y'all know my hashtag. Marvel done it again. Marvel done it again. I've said that like for almost every last one of these reviews that we've done or else conversations we've had about it. But for me, it's between Loki and Spider-Man No Way Home. And I'm tended to lean a little bit more into Spider-Man No Way Home.
Cool. What you got, Bob?
I like I don't know. I think No Way Home because it's so fresh in our minds, especially my mind. I just saw it. Of course, it has to be at the top. I mean, towards the top of the list. Just because of its kind of continuity with the other uh Spider-Man projects. But I think for me, I'll say this. I'll say this. Spider-Man was probably my favorite one so far, but I think the most important one I think was WandaVision. Um, just because really how it dealt with trauma, how it dealt with some really serious issues. And you can make the argument for a few of them, the themes, of some of the films. But I think that WandaVision, I think, was very important. First of all, having, a woman be the protagonist, not that Black Widow wasn't, but I don't think that Black Widow is as good as WandaVision. But also just how it dealt with, trauma and dealing with uh, those kinds of
Grief and loss.
uh, yeah, adverse experiences, yeah, grief and loss, and then also how they had that message there, but then they also connected it to um, the larger part because we all know that one is going to have a huge part to play in the events to come. So I think that the most significant one was probably WandaVision, but I think the best time I had though watching probably overall was probably Spider Man.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
even for me, No Way Home is by far the best Marvel property this year. My my favorite in regards to the TV shows is Loki. My favorite time actually around the discourse and talking was WandaVision. I mean, even when it comes to looking back, like analytics for the year, like my WandaVision stuff was killing. And it wasn't because I was
Yeah.
doing so great. It's just because the discourse around people want to know and talk about it was at an all time high. Like it hit at the right time. And even want to
Right.
talk about how the order of the MCU stuff was all shuffled the deck because of COVID and stuff was going on. So they had to kind of put stuff out of order for them. which actually ended up being a blessing for them because the first one out was WandaVision, and it was it was so different from everything else, and it really kind of set the tone for how, you know, Disney Plus and Marvel could be on TV from here on out, and that was crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
it was fun watching that.
yeah. Piggybacking off of that with WandaVision, I mean, WandaVision is definitely up there. I think why some people don't appreciate WandaVision because it was slow. It kind of was slow in the beginning to build things up.
Sucked.
Right. And people who, you know, like us guys, man, we're Marvel heads, we're comic heads and stuff like that. And we kind of had an idea where this was going. So, you know, we knew it was going to be a big payoff. And then when you have your casual Marvel fans who are just familiar with just the movie, you know, they just came along with the movies and stuff. And then some people who only came along when Infinity War came in, they weren't, you know, so they felt it was slow and they was like, well, why is this? What's going on? What's this black and white stuff? They didn't, a lot of people I know didn't hang around for the big payoff. But WandaVision was extremely important as far as the pecking order of how, you know, things went this year. But WandaVision is definitely up there for me. A dark horse for me, and probably besides, like I said, Spiderman I had the most fun with was the What If series.
True.
What If was just, and I guess for me, because I remember as a kid seeing those What If comics, and, you know, they were some of the most outrageous, you know, things that you could see in the comics, and they actually took that concept, and when they first announced they're going to do Marvel What If, I was like, wait a minute, what? It's, you know, so that kind of had a personal touch to my heart with that. And like, for example, at my job, a young lady, she's into Marvel and stuff like that, and I was telling her, you know, hey, have you seen What If? And she was like, I don't know. I don't think I could get into it. She said, I saw like the first one with Agent Carter, and I just wasn't. And I was telling her, and this is like right before she saw Spider-Man, I had saw Spider. I was like, you need to watch What If to really get. And she was like, I mean, she didn't understand. She didn't have an understanding of it. Put it like that. She thought, you know what I'm saying? And I think it was the same way that how we thought it was going to be, different stories, you know what I'm saying, that didn't have any connectivity. But Marvel did what they do, was like, oh no, this is going to be connected somehow. They connected all those stories together. And now it's a possibility from what, you know, spoiler alert, anybody that's seen the Doctor Strange trailer, it looks like you might see some bleed over from What If into Multiverse of Madness. And I talked to her the other day, and she was like, oh my God, Antonio, I saw What If. She was up to the second to last episode. She was like, thank you for convincing me to watch this. She says, thank you. She says, you were right. I apologize. I am sorry. She says, those things were amazing. So
yeah, that's what's up. So conversely, what was the weakest property of this year? Go ahead, Bob.
Oh, I mean, for this year, I think it's Black Widow. I mean, you know, you gotta. I mean, but see, let me add a caveat. I didn't see the Eternals. That's the one thing I didn't see. So I don't know. I read reviews, and I talked to some people, including you, Rashad, about that. But from what I saw, yeah, Black Widow was the one. I mean, it showed, I guess, some of the kind of how some of these kinds of films can kind of be formulaic. I think that's where it got off for me as far as the plot is concerned. Like, it kind of had And then also, I think in the grand scheme of things, just to be I mean, honest with it, it's like we already know what's going to happen to her, and then it kind of undercuts the kind of, for me, the narrative thrust of it. I think in the film itself, some of the other characters probably should have been centered rather than uh, than Scarlett Johansson's character, Black Widow. I think Natasha Romanoff she's cool, but I think the way they used her in the film, I don't think it really works. It was just too many cliches, too many kind of ham-fisted kind of thematic elements. I guess Ray Winstone's character is supposed to be like a Harvey Weinstein, powerful, executive type, who's in his, who has like even like the casting couch, in the office, and I guess Wanda, not Wanda, but Scarlett Johansson's supposed to like, kind of stand up to him. You know what I mean? I don't know. I guess it just fell flat for me. It didn't work.
What you got, bro? I'm Tony.
Oh.
Yeah, I gotta agree. I mean, I understand why there was a Black Widow movie. I do. Besides, she was like the only original Avenger besides Hawkeye who didn't have their own movie. Now, if they would have made it like a little quick mini series, I think it would have been maybe a little bit better. But like Tony said, man, like Boss said, man, it was a lot of cliches. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot of cliches in it. And I think, too, another thing, look, man, what happened in Budapest? I thought this was going to be the movie to explain, or else show what happened in Budapest. Because, Budapest was always the little thing they always brought up. Oh, Budapest. Nick Fury brought up Budapest. She always brought up Budapest, along with Hawkeye bringing it up. I wanted to see what happened in Budapest that was such a, I guess a life-changing or an altering event, and you never did. I mean, I understand I kind of understand where they was going with the story of it, but I think what would have been dope if they would have did a movie, Black Widow, but this could be a series. They did a movie or a series called Black Widow, but it focuses on the different Black Widows that are out there. You know what I'm saying? The different women that are Black Widows, so it was the weakest property that came out this year. It was, and I tell people who didn't see it, and it was like, well, should I see it? I'm like, yeah, you should, because if you want to be a part of it. But I said, don't go into it thinking grand scale Marvel. Don't go into it thinking like a grand scale Marvel movie. Think of it more of a spy. You know what I'm saying? Like almost like a spy movie, or like a female born identity type thing.
True. For me, the biggest miss of the year was the Eternals. And this is just based on the potentiality of what it could have been.
True.
Conceptually, it should have been such a grander movie. And even the reveal of how Icarus was basically stayed on job the entire time. Like they did okay. And this is the problem I have with some people, how they tell stories. They did more telling and not enough showing. They didn't show us them doing a lot of this awesome stuff. You know what I'm saying? They told us, you know what I'm saying? They didn't show us really, you know what I'm saying, like them doing the things that they really did. Like they did a little bit of showing. And also the heel turn of Sprite, like really like, being in love with Icarus, like that was probably one of the wackest parts of the movie. I'm like, how you going like out of nowhere? Like there was no inclination, no subtlety, no subtext, no nothing that like fam was in love with him the whole time. You know what I'm saying? Like there was like nothing. All of a sudden, like, oh yeah, and then like what's your boy's name? The dude from Pakistan dude. Forgot his name. He was like, yeah. He's like, yo, can't you tell? She loves Icarus. I'm like, no, we can't tell. Yeah, again, y'all telling us, but y'all ain't show us. So there was a lot of that going on in Eternals.
Yeah,
That
there
was a
was
bit
one
like,
scene that kind of made you be like, "There's something there," but that was on my second time seeing it movie, and that was when Icarus and Cersei got married, and they showed the scene of all the Eternals. But you're not looking for that.
oh yeah,
You see
and
all
like
the
and Fam
you
wasn't
see all
smiling, but she was the
right,
curmudgeon the entire time. So like that's just kind
right.
of on brand for her. So I didn't. So yeah. So like for
Right.
me,
Like that's the only time you could possibly be like, okay, maybe, but she had the Kristen Stewart Twilight something stinks face just about the entire movie. Yes, I said it.
ah, that's funny. But nah, yo, like yeah, Eternals for me because I really was hoping that it was gonna be so much more. Like I had a lot of Chloe Zhao directed a really good movie, but
Yeah.
they didn't give her the script for her to really work it for real. Like it was beautifully shot, the CG was amazing and all
Yeah.
that, but they ain't really give her, they ain't really do it like that. All right,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
that
I
be,
think.
go ahead. Sir. No, go
I just
ahead.
want to say too. I think where Marvel is weakest. I think. I mean, because I didn't see Eternals, but I know for a fact that they had hella characters in there, right?
They did.
And I think that when you have so many characters, that you're trying to, have arcs for, or at least ostensibly have arcs for, it's kind of hard to kind of keep all the motivations kind of sound and sane and understandable to the audience. Even when you talk about just the continuity from film to film, like with Black Widow, going back to that, it's like I think you all, I know you remember, like when Natasha was at an Age of Ultron, when she basically reveals to us that they sterilized the Black Widows,
Yeah.
you know, and in that movie it was really like, it was like dire, like it was like the music was even like really dramatic, and the tone was like, really very serious and grave. But then I don't know if you remember the line from Black Widow, like when they talk about it in that movie, it's almost like a joke. It's like
Yeah.
they rip out the uterus, they just rip it out, like, you know what I'm saying? Like just even kind of keeping the continuity of character and motivation of characters from film to film. I think that sometimes, the tone, I was like, for me, one of the things in Black Widow was the kind of inconsistency with the tone, and the humor was just off as well. You know what I mean? So you talk about even with the characters. I mean, like I said, I didn't see the Eternals, but I can imagine just trying to keep all those characters properly motivated and understandable, and to kind of give them all their own personal arc and have that continuity. I can only imagine how difficult that probably was, and how it probably didn't land,
It probably say my thing with Eternals. I I think it probably could have hit off better once again if it was a series, like a mini series where you focused on each member of the Eternals, and then each member of the Eternals, along with telling the story, along with telling the whole story, because it like I said, it was kind of hard to follow. I will say it was kind of hard to follow with that, and it would have been great, like you said, to see all the great things that they've done, like Fasto being like this technological person creating all this stuff. And like the only time you really see him create it, you don't even see him create it. You just see the after effects of him being the reason they had the atomic bomb that took out Hiroshima.
Yeah.
And you just see him crying over that, saying, "Oh my God, they shouldn't have done this and that." Like it would have been great, to see like him, especially being a black person in this, seeing how he would have handled going through slavery and seeing this stuff like that. Saying stuff like that and passing all this technology down.
Like how he black in the Manhattan Project. Like this is
Right.
total missed opportunity on their part. Again, they did a lot of telling and not enough showing.
Yeah.
And that's what
Or else I can't think of the character, the speed character, how she had all of these historical artifacts.
She stole all this. She stole all this stuff, and they didn't show us stealing none of this.
She, she has the chalice. You know what I'm saying? You see the cup of Christ up. You know what I'm saying? In there,
so much crap. You know what I'm saying?
So much crap. Like to
that's
see,
my
it
problem.
would have been great. You would have seen like her going through time, like taking this stuff at these moments and everything. But that's That's neither here or there.
Yeah. All right, so let's transition over to the let's talk about Spider-Man No Way Home because we left Bow out last time. So go ahead and see what you guys say.
No, I don't have anything to say, man. No, I mean, you just want to talk about it?
Yeah, because it's such a good movie. I can talk about some more.
Yeah, no, it is, man. I think, yeah, I don't think it's a feat. I think. I mean, I think that how they were able to bring, the different universes together. I mean, let's be reminded. I mean, just from a screenwriting standpoint. I mean, just think about the fact that when the first Spider-Man came out in 2002, like, they didn't know that all this was going to happen with the MCU. You know what I'm saying? This is like, it's, predating all of that. So for them to use the idea of the multiverse, which is not a novel idea, the multiverse, exists, in science fiction novels and other comic book properties too. DC has a multiverse, Marvel, of course. But for them to use the multiverse as a kind of way of explaining and connecting the estranged kind of Spider-Man properties from Sony, the Amazing Spider-Man with Sony, and then the original Tobey Maguire, and kind of bringing that together. I just think that was dope, man. Like, I mean, just the fact that they were able to kind of use that to kind of to bridge that was cool, and how in the movie, each Spider-Man had their own chance to shine. It wasn't like it was a cameo. It was like they actually had, effects on the plot. They had their own kind of arcs, little miniature arcs there. And I love the moment when Andrew Garfield, Spider-Man, when he caught MJ, that kind of redemption moment for him that, he definitely needed, what I'm saying, because he couldn't catch Gwen Stacy. I think that was dope, man. Like how they included that. So yeah, I think it was a good movie, man. I mean, yeah, I mean, for them to actually bring that together, that was cool.
I can tell you like I said, this movie was another movie that kind of touched home for me. I'm gonna take it back. I'm gonna take you all the way back to like around 96, 97 area. There was this animated series on Fox called Spider-Man. It was great. And it abruptly ended. But like the last arc, 3 or 5 episodes of that arc dealt with the multiverse Spider-Man. If you guys remember that. If you don't, you don't, go back to Disney Plus and you find it up there. I watched the whole series during COVID.
No, I remember, yeah.
Yeah,
I remember that.
They had, with Madam Web, and it was with Madam Web, and she brought like the last 3 or 4 episodes, all these different Spider-Men together. You had you had the black and silver iron armor Spider-Man. You had a Spider from a universe. You had the universe of a Spider-Man where he was like, I don't have no powers. I'm just an actor. Spider-Man's like a comic, and I play him in a movie. saying it was that Peter Parker, and you had all these different Spider-Men come together, and I always was like, oh, that is so dope. The only thing was they all looked like how Peter Parker looked on that cartoon. So this gave me those vibes of this of it. But yeah, I mean, like you said, Tony, like Sam Raimi didn't know that this was going to happen when he did Peter Parker with Tobey Maguire. Same thing with when it came down to, Andrew Garfield, huh?
Mark Webb.
Doing they didn't know what was this is going to happen. And and like I think I told you, Rashawn, we had our conversation. Each Spider-Man had a chance to shine. Each one, they still had their little quirky types of attitudes. They had, demeanors and how they were. And each of them was able to get a redemption arc and how things were. Hell, there's even now like word now because of this movie, they're going to go ahead Sony's going to go ahead and do the third Andrew Garfield. I don't have any faith in that whatsoever. You know, if Kevin Feige and them are not, if Marvel Studios is not somewhat involved in it, but it's very. But that movie, in my opinion, gave him some redemption as well, because out of all the Spider-Man movie, Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man is always kind of looked at as, you know, like the little stupid stepbrother. Like, yeah, get out of here, kid. You yeah, whatever. Nice, you tried, you know, type thing or whatever. Yeah. And you know, it gave a good redemption arc even for that, because even in the movie, what, you know, Tobey Maguire, you are amazing. He was like, thanks, man. I am. You know, it gave a nice little arc. And even if they never do another Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, or if they don't ever try to do another Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, with those two, it gave you a nice little bow in how they finish, you know, that story. My only concern now is what's going to happen now with this Tom Holland Spider-Man, because, you know, he's talking about now where, you know, he might be kind of, I think he has two more. He's scheduled for two more movies.
They re-up for 3.
For 3, but I know he said he doesn't want to, you know, do a whole lot. But I think eventually we're going to get what I think all of us want is Miles Morales in live action, and if that happens, then so be it. It'll be great. Can't wait.
Speaking of can't waiting, what was your This is a horrible transition. What was your favorite MCU moment of the year? What's your favorite MCU moment?
I gotta think.
I'll give you a second. Favorite. I'm gonna tell you my favorite moment. Way y'all thinking.
Okay.
My favorite moment for the MCU has to be the introduction of King the Conqueror in Loki. By far, my favorite moment. The way it was set up was amazing. The way he was at the quote unquote end of time, holding all time together. You know what I'm saying? He is essentially like the I am of this part of the MCU, and how he's telling me, like, look, yo, it's mad more of me out here. Like, y'all kill me, like my people gonna come through. It's gonna be way worse. So I would definitely rather y'all like help me out. You know what I'm saying? Even how he played that role, like super quirky, and it wasn't goofy. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it really worked. That whole thing, like, that was by far, that whole scene, even Loki and Sylvie's interaction, how Loki is really understanding that he is the utmost narcissist, that he loves himself. You know what I'm saying? And wants to have a relationship with his own self, essentially. Yeah. Like that whole ending, that scene for me, that 14, 15 minutes of him just monologuing basically by himself. So awesome. Jonathan Majors killed that. And I can't wait for Quantumania. I can't wait. That's my favorite moment.
I will say for me, here's the thing. The reason why I hesitated, because that's the obvious choice. Seriously, that's the obvious choice to say that. So yes, that's my favorite moment. But not to piggyback off it, because you said everything why that's, you know, say a favorite moment, Rashad. I'm gonna give you another one.
Cool.
And this is gonna be a little different. Mine would be the introduction of Sam Wilson as the new Captain America. And that's for reasons of, you know, the climate of what's going on in this country and everything. Like, I never thought that Marvel would go in that direction of having the actual, you know, Falcon become Captain America like he is in the comics, you know, having a black man be Captain America.
Very true.
You know, I didn't think they would do that. I thought, you know, hey, Captain America's off, you know, he's killed off, whatever, cool, or whatnot. You know, Sam would go on with the shield, but not go full blown, you know, into like, and Marvel did not play around with it. That is possibly the most, they went the most comic book accurate with the costume,
Yo,
with Falcon. They went that's the most comic book. They was Kevin Feige was like, artists, designers. You see this? This is the uniform. Don't change anything about it. Just make it real. And that scene when like he comes down with the wings and he's holding the person, and you see the shield and everything, and they're like, oh, give us back the shield. And he's like, no, I'm not giving, you know what I'm saying? I'm not giving y'all back the shield. And he is recognized as Captain America. And mind you, Sam Wilson doesn't have any powers. He's you and me, so he's a regular, he's a regular dude, he doesn't have any powers. So to me, I think that was an important and probably my favorite moment. And also too, along with it, this coincides with that, them talking about Isaiah Bradley as being part of the Captain America, super soldier project during civil rights movement and everything, and then how he was captured because he did the right thing of going back to get his boys, help get his boys out of danger. And what did they do? They arrested him and kept him and made him as a test subject. Meanwhile, Steve Rogers did the same exact damn thing, and he was lauded as a hero. But that's neither here nor there. But for me, like I said, Jonathan Majors as Kang the Conqueror is by far there. But I feel as for for a moment that the climate that's going on in the country, Falcon becoming Captain America.
Cool. What you got, Bob?
I don't know. I think it would have been my favorite moment would have been the introduction of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield in the new Spider-Man movie, but we already knew that was going to happen. Can you imagine if we just didn't know? That would have just been, that would have been crazy. Can you imagine that? No spoilers. Because it wasn't even spoilers. Because we knew about that months in advance. Like, everybody knew they were going to do that, But it would have been, knew, though. Because can you imagine just not knowing, beforehand? That would have been crazy, man. I was in the theater with this obnoxious person. Like, every time in the movie, when something was about to happen, he had to touch his friend and tell him, oh, this is gonna happen here. Oh, here comes Toby. I think probably my favorite one. I gotta say it was Kang, man, because I was actually thinking about that before our competition here tonight. I was just like, man, what stands out from the season, And that one, that's the one, man. Like that when Jonathan Majors came out and how he was playing Kang, and it was great, man. Just the idea of this kind of Afro-futurity. Like, here's this guy, he's in the future. He's already seen everything. He's at the end of time, outside of time. Just kind of just there, and the fact that he has this kind of preeminence, and he was unbothered by even the power that stood before him, with the Lokis being there before him, and he wasn't afraid to die because he had seen everything. There's something very powerful about that, and him being a black man.
It's like he almost welcomed it, though, for real.
Yeah. I think, and that in itself is quite powerful. The fact that he just took his own autonomy into his own hands, and as a black, character, in a major property like that, I think that was very significant, man. Because I know when I was a child, we really didn't have that. I'm a little younger than y'all are, but but I think we're all the same age group. Like, we remember growing up in the 90s, and it's like we had. And I was thinking about this the other day. I don't mean to get in the sidetrack. I'm almost done. But I just want to say, I remember we had shows, we had some cartoons, but I don't even remember really that many cartoons that had black leads, or we had C Bear and Jamal but Sea Bear was like voiced by Tone Loc, but it was a bear. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
the only cartoon that I can really remember that had a black lead when I was coming up was Wayne Head,
Oh wow.
and then that was really it. You had some black voice actors. Like I was texting Rashad the other day about the best Kingpin ever was Roscoe Lee Brown, who voiced Kingpin on Spiderman, and Black Man, the greatest Kingpin ever. Like just his voice acting was just unparalleled. In that show, and I think back on that and just think about the lack of representation. Of certain shows. I'm not talking about obviously we had live action shows like Living Single and stuff like that, but I'm talking about like in a kind of major kind of property like this that's actually integrated and made significant inside of an actual universe, because we know the Kang the Conqueror is going to be very significant coming forward. Hopefully. I just think that's great, man. Just to have this kind of villain, who has his own way about him, who has his own free moral agency to do what he wants, who's not afraid to die, and who's not responding to some kind of social trauma, I just think it was good to see that,
Definitely. That's
Yeah.
definitely
Real quick,
Go ahead.
piggybacking off what Tony said, I besides if it wasn't for social media and the information age right now, probably Toby and Andrew hopping over would be right neck and neck with Kang, saying Kang the Conqueror. And it's like I was watching the movie the whole time like, all right, when is it gonna happen? When is it gonna happen? Remember I told you, Rashad, with my job. Remember I told you the week the movie was coming out, I said I'd already seen a poster of No Way Home that had all three of the Spider-Man. I was like, well, that sucks or whatever. I would love and it's hard to do. It's extremely hard to do. And yes, Marvel has at times done a good job in keeping things under wraps, but I wish they found a way to keep things just a little bit more tight-lipped, because I put it like this with you guys. Remember going to the movies, you watch this one particular movie, and then you just waited to the end, and all of a sudden you just heard, I am Iron Man. You lost your mind when you saw Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, because you was like, what is going on here? Right. You lost because no one expected that. It wasn't expected. I love those type of things, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, it's like the world we live in. The world's very different now.
Yeah.
So yeah, people making so much money off of leaks and things and clicks and ad revenue and dollars and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get it.